It's now the time to revisit one of the flagship topics of today, as you've seen, namely the 45th anniversary of the August agreements that resulted in the creation of the Solidarity movement. Joining me now to take a look at the events of 1980 and the long-term consequences, it is my pleasure to welcome back to the studio Jan Krzysztof Bielecki, former Polish Prime Minister. Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining me. It's great to have you back in the studio.
Very good evening to you.
Thank you. So as we revisit the events of August 1980, I'd like to go back in time and bring the memories that you have of the events that took place. What was the meaning of this event, and were people actually hopeful that a greater change was afoot as it was happening?
Nobody expected in August 1980 what will be the final outcome of the strike in Gdańsk shipyard. And even after the negotiations with the government, and of course, Solidarity had put on big board those famous 21 demands, but it was a long way to go to the next stage, which was official registration of Solidarity Trade Union, which happened almost 2 months later. But that was the official track. But in the meantime, the success of Solidarność and the announcement that free, independent trade union would be possible to be registered in Poland, in the communist Poland, it triggered such a unbelievable reaction of the Polish people that the number of potential members of so-called trade union, but actually it was kind of a Polish movement for freedom and for more liberties, jumped from 0 to 10 million. So nobody expected.
Massive number.
And can you imagine, then when I was a employee in the autumn 1980 of the Solidarność region Gdańsk, and I work in the office of a kind of a research think tank for the Solidarność, then suddenly you could almost every day meet somebody you would never expect him to also be that bold to join the movement, you know. So people were coming one after another, all I would say the brightest brains and the most honorable people turn up in the building of region Gdańsk, the place where I used to live, and they declared the commitment and offered, of course, free of charge, any kind of assistance and cooperation. That was unbelievable. So it was, in a nutshell, it was like 16 months of incredible feeling of freedom and new opportunities, and creation of a 10 million movement out of 38 million population, but it only lasted 16 months.
How would you say the Solidarity's formation paved the way to eventual collapse of the communism in the Eastern Bloc?
Oh, that's my favorite question.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Thank you very much indeed, because when I travel later on, when the change took place in 1989 and the first not communist government was established by Tadeusz Mazowiecki, since that time we travel a lot, and we travel to Germany and to Western Europe, and all the time we try to emphasize that Solidarność in Poland triggered a chain reaction across the region and Southern and Eastern Europe. But if we can say that it was like a domino effect, but domino, the first wall, or the first
little block
brick, yes, was pushed by Poland. And hopefully, I think a few years later, I remember in Germany, they did such a kind of a show invited Lech Walesa, put 20 or more little walls or blocks, on the stage. And then Walesa was the one who pushed the first one, and then like domino,
the others followed.
The other followed. And that was so beautiful. And this is the most important, and this is what we Poles should always remember to fight for, that we did this first necessary step, that the others followed.
It gave people hope, and it gave people example that the change is possible.
Yes, and also we should remember, and it was used in our relationship with the Ukrainians over the years, or decades, I may say, that in September 1981, at the General Assembly of Solidarność Movement or Trade Union in the Gdańsk famous Olivia Hall, Solidarność also declared and sent a message to the all people employed in Central and Eastern Europe. So it was a famous message that we, of course, we remember about our victory, but we declare that those basic liberties should be for everybody, not only for us in Central Europe, but also in the countries further to the east. And on this basis, we then built quite a good relationship with the Ukrainians.
Where do you think Poland and the communist bloc would be right this very moment if solidarity was not established? It's a difficult question to...
Yes, Polish are the nation of rebels, and I may say that during my lifetime, I saw how the Poles tried few times, because in 1968, when I was at the secondary school, I saw the fights against the communists and the disorder triggered by the events in Warsaw, when the so-called opposition tried for the first time to change the situation in Poland. Then in 1970, that was more dramatic, because then as a student I went to Gdańsk and I saw tanks on the street and thousands of soldiers and special forces operating on the streets of Gdańsk. It was a failure at the end, and so many people killed and were wounded. So you may say that after lessons taken from the 1970, Poles tried again, and the Gdańsk was, as usually, the driving force. And in 1980, they were more successful, but remember, only for 16 months. Then 16 months later, the communists invoked the martial law.
The martial law.
And we went from the stage straight to the prison or the internment camps. So, and that was over for some time, and then we tried again.
I would like to take a look at the profile of Lech Walesa. He's the person that first comes to mind among many internationals when we talk about Poland. In your opinion, what kind of a leader was he as the leader of Solidarity?
I know him quite well, and I saw him in different situations and different occasions in Poland, abroad, and also during strikes. And of course, when he was the president of the country. So, firstly, I think he is a man of his own basic values he strongly believes in. So, he's not a great admirer of the clergy, but he is a strong believer in God. he believes that the Pope is the representation of the God on earth, and his respect to the Pope is incredible. Whoever was the Pope, and I saw it also from the nearest distance. But he also believes that, for example, the private ownership is by definition much better than the state or even public ownership. So he got that kind of an instinct of a farmer who knew that private is private, and private is more sound than socialist ownership, which belonged to nobody. So with those strong values and some kind of a instinct of tactician, he managed sometimes to navigate through difficult time. And at the end, he is the person, the best, well-known all over the world, and it's up to date. When you say Wałęsa, and everybody I understood.
The reason I asked is because Lech Walesa was president when you were prime minister, and I'm asking because on September 3rd we have new president Karol Nawrocki travel to meet with Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. There is an ongoing dispute between the president and the government. The government conducts the foreign policy, whereas the president is supposed to represent the country. That's the Constitution. So what do you expect from this visit, especially in the context of this dispute domestically?
Well, I'm a bit concerned because regarding that visit, there are some visible tensions between the government and the office of the president. And I think by definition, it's not good for the country. It's not good for the Polish people. And in the foreign policy, at least during the first, 25 years or 30 years of Polish transition, there was always very good understanding and cooperation between different forces at that time which took power in Poland. This is the new precedent. And when I hear about the leakage of a brief provided by the government to the office of president, I'm really disappointed with that kind of behavior.
Thank you very much. Jan Krzysztof Bielecki, former Polish Prime Minister. Prime Minister, always great to have you in the studio and talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much indeed.
And so this would be all for now here on World News Tonight. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope to see you back here on TVP World in just a moment for more news and features.